Hey guys, it's me, Ra the Creator. I welcome you all to the video. Today I'm going to be working on this drawing of one of my OCs. Her name is Atheria. She is one of my newest OCs. I make a ton of original characters regularly, so I've already sort of designed two between the time that I finished this drawing and now, which is kind of funny to me. Although I have a lot of characters, only a few of them have made it to the point where I want to do something with them story-wise. Whether that's an animated project or a comic, not many characters have gotten to this point. Atheria is among a few characters who have made it to this point. I've been designing her for a few months now. It took a while for her details to actually come to me. She did in the end though, so it was well worth the wait. So in my last video, I colored all the line art for this drawing. In this video, I'll be coloring everything with colors. So this will be a part 2 to the previous video I posted. In part 1, I tried to include as many clips of the process as possible so you guys could understand the steps I take and the techniques that I use. I did the same thing in this video. I cut this video down from about 7 hours of footage to roughly around a 23-minute video, which took a while, a really long time to edit. I hope it's helpful or at least insightful for you guys. So I started off with a soft purple color. I went over any shadow in the drawing with this color. I typically use a large array of colors in my drawings, so having this purple shadow seems to unify them all, making everything flow well together. It acts as a sort of underpainting or undertone for the art piece. I just put this in all the shadow bits and layer the actual colors on top, giving a really great shadow. For the darker colors, I still end up needing another color to serve as a shadow because the light purple won't show up under the dark, say a dark green or something. And I don't only use purple for the undertones, I also have used blue, a green, many grays, and even darker colors too. I'm not an expert when it comes to color theory, but I do know if I have a warm light like an orange or a yellow, then typically the shadow is going to be something like purple or blue. And I typically draw my characters with a warm hue, so having this light purple or a blue is a really good go-to color for shadows. So I just checked, and the color I'm using here for the shadows is actually Viola or V230 on the Ohuhu marker set I use. Um, I had to switch over to using Ohuhu markers because previously I was using a brand called Sanjoki. Um, they worked really well and they were really cheap, significantly cheaper than Ohuhu. But they worked really well, so I was kind of committed to using that brand for a long while. But recently they discontinued their brush tip markers, doing only chiseled and bullet nib, which really sucks because I kind of primarily use brush tip and I can't really get as smooth as blends without it. So I had to switch over brands to Ohuhu, which is honestly kind of a shame. So that's the color I used for the shadowy bits here, and in most of my drawings. Typically, once this color dries out, because it's typically the first color to dry out, I use it on like every single drawing. But when it dries out, I typically switch over to a blue or just shift over to the closest thing I can find to the purple. Or I just have to buy the individual marker if I can. Um, I think with Ohuhu, I might be able to buy the individual marker, but with Sanjoki, I definitely couldn't. I don't know if I said this in the previous video or this video, but I used micron fine liners for all the ink work in this drawing and kind of all of my drawings. I use them religiously because they work so well. They have such small sizes and such large sizes. The array of nib sizes, like tip sizes that you can get is kind of insane. Um, I typically start off with like an O2, which I think is like 0 point something millimeters. I don't remember. But I start off like somewhere in the middle, a little bit thinner, and then like I'll layer on thicker sizes on top of that, just to make sure I'm getting all the details in first, and then I can go in making things stand out a little better. But I've been using these pens religiously for like ages. They work really well, and they don't really blink, and they don't really bleed if you layer markers on top of them. I do recommend like waiting like a second for the ink to set before coloring on top of them, but you don't like have to seriously wait. Just like give it a second before coloring right on top of it. Okay, so in the drawing, I'm just adding in all the little details, the patterns on her pants and sleeves. I wanted to have this sort of plaid pattern here. I kind of went back and forth between a lot of different patterns for her pants. In the original sketch of her, I think they were striped or something, which just simply wasn't working well. But I really wanted a character with striped pants, so I think I made a character recently who has striped pants. Actually, yeah, I did. Um, yeah, I made a character with striped pants finally, which I'm happy about. But I had to recognize that Atheria simply wasn't the character for that. So I looked around for patterns to use, and this is what I settled on. My Dress to Impress experience definitely came in clutch. So yeah, um, most of her colors were planned out before this video. I've made drawings of this character before. This is just the first full like body drawing I've made of her, and the first like official kind of full drawing I'm making of her. I made a lot of practice sketches, a lot of just experimenting, trying to flesh out and figure out her character. Um, so, but even when I was sketching her character with just lead pencil, then I kind of knew that green is a color I was really heavily considering for her. So her main color is green. I don't think I have any characters whose main colors are green, so it's a bit of a change and it's kind of cool, I think. I really like green, and I use it a lot in my character drawings, but never really this much, and I typically don't use a more blue toned green like she has. I think I used deep forest green and deep sea green right here, and then I layered on like other slightly warmer greens on top. So yeah, some of the colors weren't figured out before this drawing because again, this is the first full character drawing what color I'm making of her. So I had to figure out some things like the color of her socks and her gloves and her shoes during the coloring of this drawing. Throughout the process of coloring, I tried to be mindful of the textures, making sure that they came across well, but at the same time, I wanted to maintain really sketchbooky and fun with this drawing. I didn't want to overthink it. This is my first actual drawing video on YouTube, and I wanted the color, at least the coloring process, to be fun because I knew that the editing process was going to be long and strenuous. And honestly, coloring her was a lot of fun. It took a few days because I decided to really take my time with it. And I think that was honestly a really good call. So yeah, I put a lot of detail into the textures of her outfit, but I also kept it pretty loose. As you can see, I'm just layering on more and more colors, getting darker and darker, and trying to blend everything together, make sure all the forms are easy to read, and making sure all the textures come across well, while also trying not to obsess over the details. Um, I spent a fair while on her blazer jacket thingy, just trying to get it right. And the shoes. The shoes took a little while too, because I was on the fence about kind of the texture I wanted to go with for them. Originally, I was going to make them pretty, like, really shiny, but I decided not to go that route. They're a little bit shiny, but not as shiny as I was originally going to make them. The tie is a really unique pink. I've not been able to find this color on any other marker, but I used an Olo marker for that pink, so I think if this marker runs out, I'm going to have to buy the individual marker from them because it's just so brilliant and bright, and it's just so brilliant and bright, and I love it so much. And honestly, I don't think her character design would be quite the same without it. So I'm gonna have to look around and see if I can find this color anywhere else. Because if it disappears off the face of the earth, I don't know what I'm gonna do. So yeah, I decided to make her shoes both black and green, which is kind of cool. May change some. Okay, and now we're on to coloring the skin. For this, I just started with the dark colors. I went over all of the shadow parts, all the parts where the purple was, because, well, the brown is going to be one of the darker colors, and so I knew that, it wouldn't show very well underneath the brown. So, um, I started there, and then I just layered brighter and brighter browns on top, and then topped it off with some colored pencil. I actually used um, a rust color and an orange color with the colored pencil on top of her skin, because to give it the warm um, sort of color palette that I typically go with for my characters. Um, as you can see, I'm coloring it here now with the orange or maybe rust. They both look very orange, and so I really can't tell. But yeah, that's what I did for her skin. After that, I started using colored pencil for other parts of her outfit, layering greens and a little bit of yellow. Um, no, I think I just layered green on top of her blazer and her shoes to warm up this green that I had and just brighten it up. It was looking a little sandy and dull. And I used the colored pencil as just another layering element to add in the wrinkles to make things shinier and just kind of bring everything out a little bit more. As you can see, I even used it along the edges right of her shoulder to make it stand out more from her hair. I kind of skipped over most of the bits of me coloring her hair, but her hair is black, a little bit brown, but it's black with pink highlights, pink bangs, which I absolutely love. That's probably one of my favorite parts about her design. Just that brilliant pink dyed hair. It looks awesome. So her pants and sleeves and belt are all white, so I layered on warm grays, starting as light as possible and then layering darker, and then going in again with lighter gray colored pencils, I mean markers, to just build the value and the shapes and forms and all that nerdy art terms and stuff. Then I brought in some paint markers. I used the RTX acrylic paint markers for that because the pigment in those aren't quite so harsh or strong, and I didn't want something that harsh and strong. I wanted to be able to kind of smear it out a little bit, and it worked really perfectly. Now I'm working on the background, adding in her name, with my micron pens because it took ages for me to finally come to terms with the fact that her name is indeed Atheria. I still have not accepted that. I'm still going to change it, but for the sake of this piece, I needed to draw it in. I also hit the halfway point and started editing everything super fast, so apologies for that. For some reason, I guess I thought I could talk faster, which I can't, and I won't. So, yeah, I drew in all the trees starting with dark brown colors and then layering on lighter colors on top, allowing that to kind of blend a little bit, giving this sort of bark texture, which is what I wanted. And then for more rough textures and everything, I went over on top of that with color pencil. I don't know if I included clips of that. I then added in, started roughing in some. I then started roughing in some foliage using markers and just honestly winging it. None of that was sketched or anything. I just knew I wanted to fill it in with a very foresty background, and so that's what I did, just layering on paint markers and colored pencils and everything until I got something I was satisfied with. And I think it looks really cool. I think it came out great, actually. I'm really happy with that because it gives this cool 3D effect, like we're looking into a forest, but we have this pop-up ad of a drawing in front of that. It's just a cool effect that I think was just fun. So I added in some lighter purples in the paper just to give it a little texture and make it a little messy and fun. And then I went over it with the actual color of the paper and stuff. I kept the border around her to make it look like she's a sticker. I really love that detail. I love doing that with my sketchbook spreads. I think it's just really fun, honestly. And so, yeah. The final step in that was to add in the white from the paint markers, and then I smeared it a little bit to make it blend in with the alcohol markers. I layered on pinks for the paper. I wanted them to be really messy, so I didn't bother about making the layers smooth. I wanted streak lines. Um, and these are alcohol markers, and so that's a little hard to get sometimes, but I think I kind of got it. And I'm really happy with how the paper came out and how the wrinkles came out. I layered on some paint markers to make the wrinkles look a little bit better and just again to add a little more texture and detail to the paper. This was honestly the fun stage in the drawing. I was able to just color in random things with paint markers. Honestly, kind of just mess up all the neatness of the drawing, which was, again, like I said, it was fun. Um, I used paint markers and alcohol markers and colored pencils, and I really just went crazy. I'm using some colored pencils on the exclamation marks. I used highlighter, so it actually glows and when I turn on my blue LEDs in my room at night, which is really fun. Um, I started drawing in the wings of the bat. I finally drew the socks of her socks because I finally decided on a color for them. I don't want to keep them. I'm thinking I just want to make her boots knee-high boots instead of this like halfway sort of a situation. I feel like it just breaks up her design, so I'm gonna tweak that a little bit. We're gonna see what I like about it. Um, and yeah, right here I'm filling in the colors for the Polaroid photo that's taped to the paper sheet. Again, that's another detail I like to add into my sketchbook spreads to make everything a little bit more scrapbooky because I love scrapbooking, but it takes a really long time to do. Um, and so why not just color it and make everything seem 3D with my markers? It's a little interesting. It's a little weird, but I think it's little things that help to define my art style. Um, and so yeah, I'm just adding in a lot of things, having fun. We're getting close to the end of this video, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about the process of making it. Um, this one was honestly easier than the previous video. Um, for the previous video, I had like 80 takes of the voiceover. For this one, I originally was doing a lot of takes, and then I just kind of got a feel for it, and so I'm kind of just talking straightforward and smoothly, which feels a lot better. It's a lot easier, and I think it's going kind of good. Halfway through the video, I started editing all the clips to be a lot quicker and a lot shorter. Um, Sorry about that. I don't know which one you guys like more, so any feedback is greatly appreciated because I'm still trying to find my editing style on here on YouTube, and feedback is very helpful. So yeah, that's kind of my notes about the editing process. It was a pain, it was difficult, and it took a really long time. And it's a whole day late. This video was supposed to come out in March, but it's coming out in April, which is not ideal, but you know, I'm willing to take it. We're close, I'm getting better, and progress is progress. So yeah, these are the final touches in the drawing, just adding in little things with a white Posca marker. Yeah, thank you so much, everybody, for sticking around and watching the full video, the full 20, I don't know, 4 minutes. I really appreciate it. I'm still kind of new to YouTube, very much so new to YouTube, and I'm trying to find my footing. So, you guys watching my videos is really helpful. Yeah, I appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and yeah, bye, or something. Here is the final result. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for sticking around, and I shall see you all in the next one. Be sure to follow me over on Instagram, and check out my Etsy shop because I have one. I have a lot of stickers of my original characters, and it would be greatly appreciated if you check that out. So yeah, goodbye for now.